Hello, podcast land. Welcome to Sold for a Song in today's episode, where we recorded a book event for my new book up in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, my old stomping grounds, actually the last city I lived in before I moved to the United States. I think Mississauga is now the 6th largest city in Canada. It is the next door neighbor to Toronto, Ontario, and it has a soft place in my heart. I was asked by a dear friend of mine and lifetime recording artist, lifetime warrior for the Mississauga music community, Tom Barlow. I can't thank Tom enough. So Tom picked up my book and then asked me to come up and do a kind of a book event / reading and just try and bring some value to the community of Mississauga. And he managed to assemble an incredible cast of attendees, from the city councilman to the president of the Arts Council, local venue owners, local artists, etc., etc. I had an exceptional time, and they did such a wonderful job putting on this event, and I'm so grateful for everybody attending. And here is the event. It's a little rough around the edges, audio-wise, only because I wasn't totally ready to capture everything properly, but it's also on video on YouTube if you want to watch the video. And yeah, you will get the gist. So please enjoy this episode of Sold for a Song, the book event from Mississauga.
All right, ladies and gents, gather round, gather round. We got value going once, truth going twice. Sold for a song. That's right, folks. Rights signed away, data given away, pennies on the play. Publishing, gone. Credit, missing. Ownership, kiss it goodbye. 50 pages of catch-22s, no dice. You can't eat a like, a follow, or a view. Sold for a song. But wait now, hold your bids, hold your breath. Here comes the truth, louder than the bass line. Time to take it back, where the artists rise, the system shakes, and the silence finally breaks.
Welcome to Sold for a Song, the transformative podcast that dissects the music industry's long-standing practice of undervaluing its most essential contributors. Yes, we're talking songwriters and artists. In each episode, we'll delve into the journey of recognizing and elevating the true worth and value of music creators, discover how the industry has exploited creators, and learn actionable strategies to revolutionize this trend and take control of your career. Hello, podcast land. I'm Terrence Sawchuk, but you can call me Terry. After 30 plus years in the trenches of the music industry, trust me, I've seen it all. The highs, the heartbreaks, and the resilience it takes to succeed as a creator. Here's what I've learned. Awakening your self-worth, owning and leveraging your value, and streamlining the process to free up the time we need to do what we most love to do, which is create. That's what stands between you and the freedom we're all chasing. All right, before we dive in, if you believe in empowering artists and redefining what it means to thrive creatively, do me a favor, subscribe, leave a quick review, and share this episode with someone who truly needs it. That one click helps more than you know. And if you want to go deeper, join me at terrancesawchuk.com to be a part of the community and follow all of my endeavors for exclusive content and updates. Nice.
Check, check, check. Good evening, my friends. Come on in, come on in. Thank you all to everyone for coming. What a beautiful collection of interesting people we have here.
Yes, yes.
And we're here today in celebration of music, the greatest force in the history of Western civilization, of all civilization. And I'd especially like to thank Michael Douglas from the Mississauga Arts Council. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you.
Our city councilor, Maureen, who runs the greatest music venue in the world. And of course, all of the artists and the musicians and songwriters who are here tonight. Thank you all for coming. So I met Terry 25-ish years ago. He was working with a brand new artist called Alanis Morissette, who I thought was a little pop star. And she ended up doing okay. And then he said, yeah, and then I'm doing this, I think it was Clumsy. Or you were engineering, was it Clumsy?
Naveed first, yeah,
Naveed,
and
okay.
then Clumsy.
So he worked here for a while, and then moved to Nashville, and then became uber successful with 3 number ones, Billboard number 1, and the most played song of the decade in country music. Am I correct with all of those things?
Correct, yeah.
So Terry's done okay. And through his travels and through his experience, he's seen the entirety of the music business, or what I think is a pretty good sense of the music business, and saw some flaws and saw some areas where musicians are being fucked over in the same way over and over again for generations, and wrote this book. And I saw on his socials he has a book, so I went and picked up the book and I read it. I was like, holy crap, we need to hear about this. So here we are. Please give Terry a round of applause.
Yeah.
And,
thank you.
After the talk, if you want to pick up a book, they're right here. And that's enough for me. Take it away, my friend.
Oh, well, thank you kindly, sir. Okay. Yeah, I was an engineer for 15 years. We can't put a mic on. So, yeah, so I'm nervous. I don't do this. Tom's like, I'm buying your book, sends me a text. Oh, okay, great. Sends me a receipt. I bought your book. Shows me the receipt. I just read your book. This is like a day later, and then it's like, I want to pay you out of my pocket to come to Mississauga and do an event. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So let me just tell you, selling books is not a money-making thing. I think the average independent book sells 100 to 250 copies in its lifetime. What I was hoping is it's a conversation starter. And I got to that age where I'm not afraid to be wrong and just spit out my opinion. And more importantly, serve people. I got to that point where it's like, oh, it's not about me. Okay. Shit, I thought it was. So I believe that we all have sort of a unique, we all have our unique talent and blueprints, but it's meant to serve with it and hopefully to awaken the same revelation in other people. So I think we have a pretty powerful job as music creators. And I went to South by Southwest in 2024, and I couldn't believe it. When I got back, I thought, I've never seen music creators this over-leveraged in my career in 36 years. Everybody's got a new software solution on how to leverage our music, however. And I thought, I mean, with AI, do we really need them to do it? Can't we just have our own automated AI private portal that streamlines everything, and we can actually own and leverage and streamline and sustain a career for the first time? Okay, this is where the book comes. So then most of us are probably old enough now. Who remembers the saying, my buddy bought a truck, he got it for a song, right? I hate that saying. So I thought, that's the book. That's my podcast. It's called Sold for a Song. So first of all, I want to thank you, Tom, and everybody else for showing up. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm so humbled by everybody showing up. I don't normally do this stuff. I will screw some things up here. I'm going to try to read. I'm not going to read the book. I'm literally dyslexic and ADHD and all the fun stuff that comes with it. But I did make some notes that were important to me that I kind of wanted to share with everybody and do a fun little Q&A at the end of it. So, Tom, I just can't thank you enough. I mean, anybody that knows you, like the old saying, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And I mean, you literally wear your life and your heart and your art like on your sleeve. I mean, how many record deals and awards and things and bands and projects and songs have you been through? And it's just like, you're the quintessential like lifer. You know, yeah, absolutely. And he says, yeah, I do these book events once in a while. People come to my crib and we just kind of do these chill things. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So what do you charge? Like, how do you make money? Oh, no, I just pay for everything. I'm like, okay. And I invite everybody and I do all the work and I do everything because I just want to see my community do well. So we both have that in common where we're fighting for the underdog. And, you know, the irony is that once you make the life of an artist better, everyone has a better life. The managers, the promoters have a better life. Everyone has a more sustainable career. The more secure the inventor, I like to call them, is. But, yeah, so I'm going to leaf through some things here, pretend everything's flawless, and I'm going to do it with editing later. Oh, we're also videoing this. I'm going to record it. I might make put this as one of my podcast episodes. So that's the point of, and I bought all this silly gear and I haven't used it yet. So we're videoing and we're recording. Pro Tools is running right now. Okay. So anyway, a little bit about me. So yeah, my name's Terrence Sawchuk. Terrence Lee Sawchuk is my God-given name. That's the one in the book. I am from Espanola, Ontario. The Paper Town Mafia is here representing. One half of the Freeman brothers, Alfio Annabellini, the great Alf. Kevin Bright is somewhere hiding in this world, and the Bright brothers, who are all from our little hometown. Yeah, more hackers. And so I spent 18 years in the Toronto music scene and helped put up the drywall with a guy named John Harris for a school idea he called the Harris Institute for the Arts, and we literally put up drywall and had no idea what we were doing. I left Trebas going, this sucks. And he said, well, and he had a private little meeting at his house, and he's like, I'm opening a school. Come on. Yeah. So then I go to my dad, and he took all of my money when I left home. So I had like 10 grand saved up, or 6 grand working construction with him. And so he said, you want to pay for a school that doesn't exist? You're going to put up the drywall. Great plan, right? So anyway, and then I just got the bug back in 2007. I moved to Nashville. So I've been in Nashville for 19 years or whatever that is now. And yeah, it's been a crazy ride. And yeah, like I said, I'm at that point now where I just want to serve as best I can. I was just telling Alf, like, one of my favorite things to do is just kind of bridge people a lot like Tom does. So it's like I'm the guy who can like get the bass player to understand what the venture capitalist is saying, and what they're trying to say is like, no, it's E flat, and it's like, no, it's ROI, whatever. So I'm like, I think I can, bring some value to people from that standpoint. So I just want to say the book, if you get the opportunity to purchase a copy, we'll sign it for you gladly and gratefully. And the book, at the end of the day, the book is literally about self-worth, not the music industry. And it's the importance of that core of self-worth and valuing yourself. I don't care if you're a dentist, a hairdresser, I don't care what you do. I learned the hard way that abundance is tied to your sense of self-worth, and you're willing to go into the darkness to kind of discover and awaken that the real person, not the childhood, not the zip code, not the life that came at you, but the actual real one. And that's literally where the book started. So then we go to what is sold for a song. I got that truck. He got it for a song. I hate that saying. Do you know that saying, I traced it back, it's actually in Shakespeare, all's well that ends well. I sold a goodly manor. I know a man who sold a goodly manor for a song. But that's not where it started. I traced it back a little further, and it was Queen Elizabeth I had, his name was Edmund Spenser. It's actually a long poem. He came and just spoke and performed a poem live. And she said, to her right arm was Lord Burleigh, pay this man, the equivalent was like $42,000 today. And Lord Burleigh says, all this for a song. What? So it became, the term for throwing money to street buskers on the street. So the point is, you have a approximately 430-year history of devaluing creators. It's by design you don't feel you like worth anything. I'm a Nashville publisher. I'm considering giving you a publishing deal. I'm thinking about it. Oh, thank you. God, my God, I'm so lucky. So there's a long history and systems in place. I'm not like, this isn't the dark web here. I'm just calling out facts, okay? There's a long history tied to lowering the value of the inventor, at the same time seeing the value and kind of taking advantage of that. again, a lot of the stuff isn't in the book, but you have Stephen Foster was the first one to ask for a royalty. You know, he's getting $100 for a song, and then, you know, it was being sold to print music. So then people would play it on a piano at home or whatever. That was the CD of the day. And then he kind of went, shit, like, really? You're just going to keep making money off this forever? Like, any chance I can get a cut of like the amount of copies? Wow, you're way out of line with that question, you know? So I invented, you put it on some paper and you distribute it. So that's like, you know, Apple getting $100 for the iPhone one time, you know, or for inventing it or whatever. And then Walmart makes all of the future earnings off of that forever in perpetuity for putting it in the store. So the book actually starts in the introduction with the definition, very cheaply, for little money, especially for something less than it is worth. That is the term for sold for a song. So that's the kind of drape that hangs over us for hundreds of years. Not an excuse, it's just a fact, right? So, all right. So the core problem I found is, to me, there's something, I'm working on a documentary for this called The True Value of Music. And I've had some amazing guests on the podcast, like Dr. Connie Tomeno, who was a pioneer in music therapy. So she's like curing people or helping people with Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and all this kind of stuff. And then she says, yeah, but we have a problem getting paid. Why? Well, because it's music. People just think we should do it for free. I'm like, so the whole healthcare profession gets paid. Plumbers don't apologize for their invoices. But because it's music and it's something we can relate to, they don't feel you're deserved. So it's interesting. So, you know, music helps us through everything from heartbreak, divorce, grief, addiction, illness, loneliness, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, slavery, lynching. You'll see in the book. So the documentary I'm working on called The True Value of Music, it's kind of this sarcastic juxtaposition to go, well, obviously, if you look at the bank accounts of the creators, you go, well, obviously there's no value to music. And then you pan to me sitting under a tree in Marion, Indiana, the same tree where they hung 2 black men after they dragged them out of prison. Oops. And then celebrated hanging them, which inspired a poet named Abe Mirapold, a Jewish poet in New York, to write Strange Fruit. Blood on the leaves and blood on the root. And this is the song that Billie Holiday ended up covering. The same song that put her in pretty much prison and not allowed to play gigs ever again for money. And then died with the FBI or whoever at her side, took away her record player, handcuffed to the bed. So when they say, well, music has no value, I mean, it stopped lynching. It brought down the US government. It exposed everybody. There's tons of value in music. Well, no, there can't be. Look at everybody's checking account. Where's the Spotify? Like, where's the money? Obviously, there's no. So that's the juxtaposition in this thing. Hopefully, go into Dr. Tomeno's offices and show people with Alzheimer's and everything and what they're going through, and go, I guess there is. Or take the camera, go downtown Broadway in Nashville, and go, oh, there's like a well over $10 billion impact study that was done on the city of Nashville. The impact of music on just the city of Nashville is well north of $10 billion a year. So as an example, the musician that played on said famous song that they're playing in this bar every night, that the bar owner is making millions a week, got the same $250 in 1974 to play on that song with no future royalties. So there is value in music if you're in the position of ownership. So most people don't own their songs. Most songwriters don't own their copyright. Most artists don't own their master recordings. They don't own their fan, their email lists, the data, the algorithms. All of this is, you're living on rented space. And somebody else is making a lot of money. You probably heard about all of these, like Wall Street and BlackRock moving into the music industry and buying up copyright. Bob Dylan making $300 million, Justin Bieber, that kind of thing. There's value in music. And because they're in a position of ownership, they are going to reap these rewards. Now, these artists are obviously making a lot of money. There's a lot to that story, but here's a quote I have in the book. The wealthiest entities in the music business and big tech acquire copyright, publishing, masters, data, emails, and algorithms. Yet artists do everything in their power to sell or give them all away. I mean, there's the business model. Just do what they're doing. Oh, we gave it all away. Or we sold it. Now, it's not that black and white. For that, I signed a publishing deal. They hooked me up with co-writers and producers, and I became famous, and I made a lot of money. Okay, great. We can also leave tonight, go to Vegas, and put $3 million on black. So we're talking lottery odds. When you say, well, you know, this is what, don't buy into that. So there's 11 million artists on Spotify alone. 11 million. With who knows how many AI songs going up daily. Like hundreds of thousands, right? Out of that is maybe tens of thousands are connected to the major label ecosystem. So the other, 10 point whatever million are wondering how to get paid. There's a model called, I call it the market share model. So if you're wondering why you've got a bunch of streams or millions of streams on Spotify and you're not getting paid, it's because I'm getting paid. It's because somebody that's had hit songs or major label songs that's earned money, it goes into a pool like a retirement fund. I have friends who are on record on my podcast who are Hall of Fame songwriters in their 80s telling BMI to their face, you've been giving me the same check every year to the penny. What are the odds this person, his songs have made the same amount of money every year? So it's kind of like I call it gold rotation. When you've had a number one, your song will pay so much for life. So as an example, with my country number one song called Barefoot Blue Jean Night, which I wrote with two incredible writers, Eric Pasley, Dylan Altman, and Jake Owen, the mother monster, awesome artist and person that he is. Here's an example. So your song's played on the radio, well, you get paid, right? No. So can BMI, Ask If, whoever. They're going to go in there, take a snapshot this month or maybe next month, and whatever it was played. This is to this day with AI. So if your song could be played 100 times this week, but they checked the following week when there was 2 spins. So that's how you get paid from airplay. From Spotify, it's like, well, we just kind of throw it into a pile and give it to the major labels and the major publishers who also own a share of the company, who also wouldn't allow Spotify into the US until we gave them each 50 million, of which none of it went to the artists. And then we are allowed to operate in the United States. Okay, so it's just getting lumped in. Everybody's getting their pay. Well, of course, there's no money for everybody else. It's the boys' club. It's the gatekeepers. This is just what it is, right? And so I'm like, people need to know this, and they need to have solutions. So there's nothing worse than jumping on TikTok and hearing everybody, oh, people are getting ripped off, and just whining and complaining. I'm like, I just want solution, evidence and proof. So we're living on rented space. I spoke about this earlier, where you don't own TikTok. You don't own Facebook. If they go out of business, all of your friends and your likes and your comments go with them. But if you go to every artist in the world and look at their website right now, what are you going to see? An about, contact, merch, music, and your welcome world. Like that's the website, right? A gallery. So imagine where the other 10 million artists or people from all over the world now have their own white labeled software that gives them a website where everything that they need to monetize and create a career is inside here. So they get all of the money. There's nothing wrong with having reciprocal relationships with everybody, promoters, managers, labels, all that kind of stuff. But For the people who are coming up, and even people who are at the top of the food chain, wouldn't it be great to finally own when you buy tickets, you buy them from me? People will fight pretty hard to over leverage and capture your music. If there's no value in music and you're having a hard time making a living, well, BlackRock, the largest property owner and one of the biggest companies in the world, they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars, billions, some of these companies. It's been a yard sale, just a shopping spree the last 10, 15 years. The reason, multiple reasons, and I've hung out with some billionaire people and they say, well, we won't touch anything unless it's so undervalued. You should be making this, but you make this, like the creator. So he said, that's a lot of value for us. Like we'll take that check all day long. And then songs are also categorized as something called an uncorrelated asset, meaning it's not really affected by the economy and what's happening. So that's a really good asset to have in your portfolio. So I tell songwriters, it's like you're a walking asset class. Like BlackRock just spent like billions to acquire this catalog. How much did it cost you to go make that song in your basement? Well, I have some gear and Logic and it took me years and, but it really cost me a lot to physically go make this. So you can physically create one of the most stable assets in history of finance for almost nothing. And you can't wait to sell or give it away. Like start thinking like the investor. You are an actual CEO of your career. I know artists in Nashville, they think they work for the manager. We need more Princes and Madonnas and Alanis Morissettes when they were telling her what songs were going to go on the record. And we're going to do it. And then she went through that whole bubblegum pop stage at being told what to do by the producer, by everybody, and then got to the point and figured it out and said, unless you're singing this album, these are the songs that are going on it. We need more of those people. The ones who've been to the edge and back as a personality, as an artist, and just a human. We've got music by committee. That's one thing I miss about living here is, we were talking about with Alf, and it's like, Canada's like maybe 2% of the world market, music market. But almost every biggest artist in every genre is specifically Canadian, sometimes the top three. Like pick a genre. If it's, Rush, rock and roll. If it's pop, Bieber, The Weeknd, on and on. Well, it can't be every genre. It's like Oscar Peterson. It can't be every genre though. Yeah, Drake, well, not new age music. Lorena McKenna invented it. So, and there's a perfect example. She is the measuring stick for everything I'm talking about. I'm apparently going to have her on the podcast in the fall. I hope so. Her manager said she's looking forward to it, putting out a new anniversary edition of one of her first biggest records. And I mean, I could talk about her for ages. I'm not going to go into too much depth, but long story short, I saw her in the subway system at Yonge and Bloor in 1989, playing with her cutout fingered gloves in -30 weather with that wind howling through those hallways, selling her cassette, playing harp music. And I was like, the vibe was amazing. But I was like, I felt so bad for her. I was on my way to the backpack going to Trebas of the Harris Institute. And fast forward to producing an orchestral record years later. I hired her engineer that did all of her recordings because I was an engineer, but he was really experienced at recording orchestras. So Jeff, now this is 11 years later. How's Lorena doing? Well, she nobody really accepted what she was doing, so she has no manager and she has no agent. I'm like, she's not paying anybody 30%, 20 to a manager and 10 no. She has a staff above a store, if I remember the story correctly, in Stratford. So if you want to book her, you call these 8 ladies that are running this company above the store. And right now she just rented out Peter Gabriel's studio for a year to do some writing. I think Warner estimated her catalog at 100 million. And I used to feel sorry for her. So now she's my flagship example of what an artist truly is. If you're being fearless in your music, but you're not being fearless in your business, are you being fearless? Well, my manager does that. And nothing against managers. Not like you want to make a manager or a label's job easier, have Prince. Well, I don't want to do TikToks. He shot a goddamn movie to put out a single. He put a whole movie together. You're worried about doing some TikTok videos. You work that hard on your art, you don't want to let it go. You want to make sure it gets promoted, and you want to work your ass off. I'm way off of what I was going to say.
This is good. This is amazing.
All right, so I'm going to, what else? Where are we? Okay, I'm going to jump to this. So the solution, the short version of the solution, 2 parts. First part. Okay. I've come to this place in my life where I'm saying our purpose is to, and I get this from not just my own experience, but having the pleasure of working with Alanis through that entire before, during, Jagged, all of it. Our duty, I think, in this lifetime is to awaken that unique blueprint. I don't care if you're a dentist, I don't care what it is. It's awakening that unique blueprint and your purpose. And we have thousands of purposes, but it's that really who are you? If you're left to your own devices, what is your true skill and talent? But we use it to serve others with the purpose to awaken the same revelation in them, but we can't have any attachment to the result. That's the little game plan. So what does that mean? You have to go and be fearless and awaken yourself. Go in, chase the demons down, find out who you are, your story. The music has to be about you fearlessly, but it's not really about you. You're just the first listener. You're just the messenger. And the purpose of it is to, you don't know, but the person in the front row just went through a divorce, just lost a family member. You don't know, you're just singing. And you have no idea what you're giving that person. That inspired them to do whatever. And this is the cycle that I believe, this is what I'm living by at this point. And it makes sense to me. So the part 2 to this is when you don't own the infrastructure, you don't own the systems, you can't leverage what you don't own. Somebody else that owns it is going to leverage it. So this is where I come to this idea. I'll use an example. I have an artist friend touring the world for 35 years. And I said, how many email addresses do you have? Like direct connection to your fans. Oh God. See, I started, first album was 2000. Done 15 albums. 0. What? I have no email addresses of my fans from Amsterdam to Tokyo. Who does? Well, Bands in Town does promotes all my shows. And I think they have about 8,000 of what would be my emails. So why don't you have them? Well, it's the policy. They don't, that's what they get. They get access to my analytics, my data. So then they sell, or in Spotify or TikTok's case, they use that to sell advertising. So I'm sad to say there is no music industry anymore. But wait, like at this point, we are data serfs. Again, I don't care if you're a hairdresser or a dentist or you're putting out a song. What's being done from a tech standpoint now is they are studying your habits for the purpose of selling advertising. They're taking your opinion, your emotions, and they're selling it for cash. So what I'm saying is, how about we do that? Well, what do you mean? Well, what if we just have our own, a platform that we own, that we leverage, and that we streamline? Well, I don't have time for that. I got to write songs to and that. That's why AI is going to do it while you sleep. And if they can't do it now, it'll do it by Tuesday or next Tuesday. So let's get prepared. And then you can sustain a living. We have so many amazing musicians here that can be teaching lessons. I know musicians in Nashville who, on the side, not when they're touring or putting out albums, on the side, they do their little guitar lessons on this blahblah.com with a bunch of other musicians. Oh, wonderful. Well, how much are you getting paid? I'm making $100,000 US a year just teaching on this website, not including anything else in my career. What the what? Wait, whoa. Okay, I know better. How much are they taking? 50%. You're making $200,000 US teaching some lessons? And why isn't this on your own private portal where you own everything? And when that site goes under, you lose the entire email list, the marketing. You can be doing this yourself. This is, I want people to think about and reframe everything to go, oh my God, I can be doing this myself, but it's harder. But it's like, well, what's your second option? Trying to cut through Live Nation and Spotify and everything else. So this is the conversation I'm trying to sort of get started. I want to touch on the city of Mississauga. And we have some fine representatives here. I kind of nerded out on all the amazing initiatives going on here. And I lived here for like 10 years out of my 18-year tenure or whatever when I was here. I haven't actually been to the waterfront since like early 2000s. So I understand, you know, your amazing programs. You got the music strategy, 22 to 26. There's so many things. I made a list of things, but the Love Local Music program, 25, 26. The musician fair pay policy. That sounds like union talk. Oh my God. You better watch out. Somebody might get paid properly. These are amazing, amazing ideas. And you've got Tom organizing this thing. I don't know of a community in the world where you have city right down to the inventor of the song on the same page. Funding, administration, zoning, the clubs, everybody is on the same. But you're looking at me talking. I'm like, how the hell did you people do this? Like, I want you to talk and tell me what you're doing. But I'll tell you what this will never be. It will never be Music City, Nashville, USA. It never will. Nowhere will. I'll tell you why. And that's a good thing. This is a good thing. It sounds bad what I just said. Every genre of Western culture music comes from about a 4 to 8 hour drive from my house. Everything was invented with, like, other than jazz, which was 8 hours drive. Everything else is about a 4 hour drive from my driveway. You don't want to compete with culture. It's like if you want to be a goalie, don't go to Alabama, go to Northern Quebec, right? So culturally, the other thing is the owners are there. The owners of the copyright, the owners of the master, the owners of the bars that are playing the music on Broadway. What do you think the #1 music city is in the United States? When you think live performance and clubs and just what's going on. Per capita is San Francisco. Let me pull up some of these numbers. Not per capita, but by numbers, not surprisingly, New York City's got over 5,000 clubs. Los Angeles, 3,000. Chicago, 2,400. San Francisco, San Diego, man. Oh, coming in at 9th place, the live music capital of the world, Austin, has 1,000 clubs. That's basically 2 streets this way, 2 streets that way, half cover songs, half originals. What they don't have is the owners. So Nashville, before the big boom, say 15 years ago, before it, Nashville had almost triple the amount of music companies as Los Angeles. I can't imagine now. So the owners are there, the labels there. Austin, I mean, last time I went to South by Southwest, I'm Googling the hell out of it. I think I found 4 indie labels that are in Austin. That's all that's there. Like a handful of companies. Okay, let's see who's on our list of music cities with live music venues. Coming in at number 22, Toronto, 588. Looking Baltimore, Charlotte, New Orleans, St. Louis. Number 37, Nashville, Tennessee, 410 clubs. But the origin of the business of songwriting lives there. The invention of country music is from the East Tennessee mountains, 2.5, 3 hours from there. Soul, blues, everything came out of the blues, as you know. So the Delta, 4-hour drive from the house. So it's in the bloodstream. But the infrastructure, Memphis has nothing. It is dead. Everybody left when Nashville started to boom for country music. Nashville, raise your hands how many black people you want playing on your country songs. Okay, so they all stayed in Nashville. You're smart. So they all stayed in Memphis, and there were no musicians going there. So that scene died. As of today, there is no session work in Los Angeles. The studio session world is done and has been for a while. Those people moved to Nashville. That one's dying now. But the culture of music, you're never going to create that here. The amount of clubs, it doesn't matter. They have the fewest, and they're Music City. But what you do have here is back to that 2% of the world market, and every biggest artist in the world is Canadian. That's what we have over most of the planet, is that fearless, unique originality. And if you have a community that you're on the same page from the top down, I mean, and doing these things that this mission that I'm trying to put forward to get people to own and leverage and streamline everything. I mean, now you're talking like, well, the only place in the world that's really doing anything real and creating a new lane it's Mississauga. I think you're sitting on a really cool time bomb here. It could turn into something. And let's see, what else? We've got a closing takeaway. Okay. As I said, so I believe creators have quietly been conditioned to disconnect from their own worth. The systems have helped them. So my message is simple. The abundance you create is directly tied to your awakening, your sense of self-worth, and actions to serve others in the hopes that they find the same revelation, but not being attached to the result. Anyway, so that's basically, there's so many other topics in the book. This is like, since I've written the book, I've kind of refined things, and I've got new messages, and there's the tech platform and these things that I'm working on. But the book at its core is about worth and value, self-worth, ownership, leverage, and the systems around it. And yeah, I just want to thank everybody for coming out.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've explained that Nashville has become this multi-billion-dollar music-centered culture.
Yeah.
And but it's still fucking over the songwriter.
So
what can we do, because we have the players here?
Yeah.
What can we do to make a music community that honors the value of this? How can we structure that?
Nobody's screwing you over. You only have people who are more prepared and know what they want better than you do, and they put themselves in the position to monetize it. So you can't take it personal. It's business. If today's episode lit a fire in you, don't let it fade. Subscribe to Sold for a Song, leave a review, and be the spark that helps others discover their own worth. And if you're ready to go deeper, my book Sold for a Song, How Music Creators Lost Their Worth and How to Take It Back, and much more are all waiting for you inside my private portal. Visit terrancesawchuk.com. Let's build this movement together.